This is Consumer Friend.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Consumer Friend Pod, the podcast that helps you navigate the world of consumer rights and protections. I'm Adam Carter, and as ever, I am here today with little Lou Bax. Hi Lou, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Adam.
Do you mind me calling you little Lou Bax on the pod?
I don't know whether I have a choice, to be honest, do I? If I make a fuss about it, you're just going to do it more?
I will. How are you feeling? You're going on holiday in 2 days?
I'm excited. So when this podcast gets released, I'll be back. Boom! Which means no one can burglarise my house, which is amazing.
Is that your only thought, is it?
I'm not ready for holiday yet. I haven't got all my stuff packed. I've got a big list of things to do. I like to clean my house and obviously harass you about now taking my bins out, which you had to do when you were going on holiday.
I've literally just taken the bins out.
Have you literally just done it? Oh, I need to do mine then, don't I? Bin day. No, just I need just to decompress before I get ready for holiday. I get excited. I get a bit worried about going on holiday. I don't know why.
You're having the pre-holiday stress.
Yeah, I also get a bit worried. What if it's not nice? What if I don't like it?
Oh, it'll be amazing. You're spending, 10 days all-inclusive in Portugal. That's going to be amazing. Yeah. No stress, no worry. There's never any stress. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no, but you're not going on holiday with my children. No. Just saying. No, it'd be good. I'm looking forward to it. It's our first abroad holiday for a very long time, so it'd be really nice.
I'm not going on holiday with you. That's amazing.
What? You'd love to go on holiday with
Imagine the stress of going on holiday with you.
You would love to go on holiday with me. It's a lot of fun. No, I do stop talking. I've got lots of books to read because I do like to talk less on holiday, so that when I come back from holiday, I'm ready for all the talking, all at Adam.
Right, well done. Right, today we are talking about buying used cars or second-hand cars. I'm going to have some stats for you, obviously. Then we're going to talk about buying from a business. Then we're going to talk about buying privately, buying online, and some other checks you should do for all of these when you're buying a used car. Right, so shall we get straight into the stats?
I just need to stop you there. We've lost all the listeners because that sounds exceedingly boring.
Well, then there's no point carrying on then, is there? If everyone's...
If you could see his face right now, he looks actually physically wounded by my words. Right, go, let's see if we can make it more interesting than
Let's try and bring them back.
Let's try and bring them back. With your stats ads.
But it's really important to get to know your rights when you're buying used cars, isn't it? It really is.
The biggest problem and still one of the most complained about things is buying second-hand cars.
I think I've said it on the pod before. When the Citizens Advice data comes out, used cars is always the top. And it's always the top by a mile in terms of complaints into Citizens Advice.
Well, yeah, and people don't understand their rights and the things that they need to do before they buy it. So, but we need to make it a little bit funnier than that.
Okay, all right.
Do your stats, Ad. Come on, stats, ready.
Stats, okay. Well, I'm now worried about my stats.
Good. I worry weekly about your stats.
In 2022, over 7.3 million cars were sold across the country. That's the equivalent to approximately 20,000 used cars changing hands every day.
Really? That's quite a big stat. It's not as good as a squirrel stat. But
not as good as a squirrel stat. 20,000 used cars every day. However, only 10% of these are electric or hybrid cars.
I've listened to a podcast on this the other day about the fact there aren't a lot of electric cars in the second-hand car market.
No, I can imagine that's because they're still, well, they're not actually, but they're kind of considered to be new to market, aren't they, really? So there's not a huge amount in the second-hand car market. That will hopefully increase over the coming years.
Mm. Waiting ads with bated breath for the next.
Don't worry about the waiting. I'm looking at my next one and just trying to make it more fun, but I really can't. Demand for plug-in electric passenger cars has grown significantly in the UK. In 2014, just 2.2% of all new passenger cars were electric. This is now 16.6% in 2022. So there is the demand for electric cars. We need to get more people buying them though, because they're safer and better for the environment. They do have that carbon cost initially, but they're better for the environment in the long run.
But they do cost a lot more at the moment. This is the problem. And then you've got the second-hand car market of like petrol or diesel cars, where actually, like when we had this debate the other day, where I would like an electric car, but actually I don't do enough mileage to warrant buying an electric car.
Okay.
So let's get into we're not getting into an eco debate. However, there are pros and cons around this, isn't there? Because I would like to do my bit to save the planet and get an electric car and plug it in to my
Oh,
solar.
shut up about your sodas. Right, I've got another little one for you. I haven't got this written down, but I've just thought of it. I read on the BBC article a couple of weeks ago that car parks are going to have to reinforce their structures because electric cars are a lot heavier than diesel and petrol cars.
Is that true?
Yeah. So all those car parks, they're used to, the amount of weight is going to be so much more because they're going to have electric cars in that they've got to reinforce their structures. That's cool, isn't it?
That is quite cool, but that's going to cost a lot of money and actually then do a lot of damage to the environment in the materials it takes to rebuild the car park.
Bloody electric cars! It's not the answer.
Oh, it's clearly not, is it? It's clearly not the answer. Right, just on another thing as well, in an article I read today around this, obviously, because I love to prep ads, because obviously Louise does loads of prep for everything that we do. Like the Motor Ombudsman released a report not so long ago around used cars, and obviously because I know I'll get fined, but the cost of living crisis, people are cutting corners and buying cars from private sellers to save money. So that segues nicely into buying a car from a private seller. Don't cut corners.
I just want to finish off with a little game, a little Lou Backs game.
All right, I'm in.
I have got a list here of the top 10 make and model cars that have been sold in 2022. So these are used cars. So what is the number one used car bought in the UK?
Ford Fiesta.
Yes, that's exactly right. How did you know that?
Because I Googled it a minute ago, but that's the only one I read because I got bored after that. And I remembered it because I would Google second-hand cars, found that, and remembered because obviously I had Jeff and Wilbur, who were Ford Fiestas.
Yes, I remember your first car.
Yeah, and my green Ford Fiesta, do you remember that one as well?
Yes.
I had an orange Ford Fiesta, then a green Ford Fiesta,
right.
Jeff and Wilbur.
Just forget about your Ford Fiestas. What else made the top 10? Come on.
Golf.
Volkswagen Golf in at number 3, 216,000 cars. I'd say the Ford Fiesta was 288,000.
That Peugeot.
Peugeot, nowhere to be seen.
What about BMWs?
BMW 3 Series is number 7, 155,000. BMW 1 Series, number 10, 112,000.
What, like Toyotas?
Not a Toyota in sight. I'll just tell you them now. Right, okay,
Tell
so
me.
number 2 was the Corsa, the Vauxhall Corsa. 3 Golf, 4 Ford Focus, 5 Vauxhall Astra. Number 6, the Mini. Number 7, BMW. Number 8, Volkswagen Polo. Number 9 was the Audi A3.
Oh, my dad said that we should only ever buy Ford cars because you could get British made parts. Whether this is true or not, I have no idea. And Ford cars were reliable. That's why I had so many Fords for so long. My first 3 cars were Fords.
Best car I ever had was my Honda Civic. It was a 2003 Honda Civic. It was beautiful. It was a lovely car. I'm not a big fan of cars, I have to say.
The best car that Kay had was the one that was a driving instructor car, so you could hit the pedals.
You could help her out.
When she was driving, that was the best car in the world.
We're all in charge of Kay driving. It's everyone's fault if we crash.
That was brilliant. As a teenager, that was the best game ever. Oh dear.
Okay, shall we just move on to when you're buying a car from a business?
Yep.
So I guess the Consumer Rights Act comes into play here. You've pretty much got the same rights as when you're buying anything, any goods. So it still needs to be of satisfactory quality. It still needs to be fit for purpose, and it still needs to be as described.
If you're buying from a business,
If you're buying from a private say
seller.
that at the beginning, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm just clarifying. Yeah, so you do have the same rights. There are slight tweaks to it, but it is pretty much the same. If you're buying a second-hand car from a business, the car has to be satisfactory quality, fit for purpose, as described. However, you have to take into consideration when you're looking at satisfactory quality, the mileage, the usage, the condition, and the age of the car. So you have to take all of that. So you can't pay £200 for a second-hand car and expect it to last forever, because that's not realistic. So you've got to take into consideration all of those specific characteristics about that particular car.
So it should still be fit for use on the road and reflect its age and price reasonably.
Absolutely. And it also, the only slight change from buying any goods is that generally, so the reverse burden is the same. And I mean, the reverse burden, basically the trader the business has to prove to you that they've sold it to you without a fault. So with cars, it can't be fair wear and tear. You can't get a repair, replacement, or a refund for fair wear and tear on a vehicle. It has to be something that shouldn't have happened because of the age, the mileage, the price of that vehicle that you bought. Normally, the only difference is that if you drive a car and say it goes wrong after 4 months, the business can, and you then end up looking at trying to pursue them for a refund because a repair or replacement doesn't work. They can deduct out of your refund some money for usage, because obviously you would have driven it for 2,000 miles or 3,000 miles or whatever you've done.
Okay, I'm just going to kind of concise that. if that's going to make it a bit more concise. Within 30 days of purchasing the second-hand car, you have the right to request a full refund if it's of unsatisfactory quality, unfit for purpose, or not described. During the first 6 months, the burden of proof, boring, is on the business to prove that the car was sold without fault.
Well, so within the first 30 days, you can reject and get a refund. After 30 days, you're entitled to repair or a replacement, as long as it doesn't cause you significant inconvenience, and you only have to give the business one opportunity to do that repair or replacement. And then if either one of those causes you significant inconvenience, takes an unreasonable amount of time, or doesn't sort out the problem, you can then go for a refund or a partial refund depending on the usage you've had from the car.
Lovely. After the initial 6 months, it becomes your responsibility to demonstrate that the fault existed at the time of purchase.
So you've got to prove it was faulty,
Yes.
rather than proving it wasn't faulty. Yes. Also, you don't have to, if you decided if it was faulty within the first 30 days, you do have a right to go, right, I just want my money back. But if you wanted to accept a repair or a replacement, you can do that. It doesn't mean you lose your right to that ultimate. You can still then get a refund if that repair or replacement doesn't work.
What if you part exchanged your old car for that car?
Right. So if you're looking for a refund, or you within the first 30 days, or the repair or the replacement hasn't worked, and so you've gone down the refund road, you would be entitled to your vehicle that you part exchanged back, or the value of that vehicle.
Gotcha. And that's the value that they gave you for that vehicle?
Well, yeah, because you can't get more. So, like, if you gave me £100 and I can't expect 200 back.
No, that's a bit unfair.
Well, you could, but there's also other things. So,
you can expect it.
With the breach, so if the car isn't of satisfactory quality, so say for example you spend £12,000 on a second-hand car, it's only got 40,000 miles on the clock, and you drive down the road and the wheels fall off. So day 21, your wheels have fallen off that car. Actually, then what you have to do is you then have to get a taxi to work, which costs you £70 so that you're not late for work because you can't use your car. You'd be entitled to a refund, or you can choose a repair or replacement option. If that doesn't work, then a refund. But you'd also be entitled to that additional cost for that breach of contract, which would be your £70 taxi fare. So any direct consequences of that breach, any direct consequences.
Can I take a helicopter to work?
No, it has to be reasonably foreseeable consequences.
Okay.
But you know what though, if you've got a helicopter to work every day,
then I wouldn't need a second-hand car, I'll tell you that.
You might be saving the environment, and who knows. You might be trying to conceal your millionaire status.
Right, let's talk about warranties. Do you get a warranty with a second-hand car if you're buying from a business? Some do, some don't, I'm guessing.
It depends, yeah. It depends. Some offer, some don't. And again, the warranties and guarantees are only subject to their own terms and conditions. So they're only as good as what they say in them. So check them out. If they're offering those, check whether they're insurance backed, check what the terms and conditions say, check what they cover. So yeah, they're just as good. They're like a separate contract, but obviously they form part of your contract, but they're like a separate contract with their own terms in it. With your consumer rights, you have 6 years to take a claim for things that aren't of satisfactory quality, and the guarantees are however long the terms say within the guarantee or warranty documentation.
Lovely. This is fun, Lou. I am
I'm
enjoying
getting
this.
it's making me think, like, I know what I'm talking about. This is good. This is a good little self-esteem boost for me.
Shall we move on to buying privately? So if you're buying from a private seller. So if you're buying a second-hand car from a private seller, your legal rights differ from buying from a business. While you can expect the car to be as described, you don't have the right to expect it to be of satisfactory quality or fit for its purpose unless the seller explicitly stated so.
Say that again. Explicitly stated.
You don't have the right to expect it to be of satisfactory quality or fit for purpose unless the seller told you that it is.
Well, unless it's part of the description, basically. So if they go, oh my God, this car is amazing, it's the most satisfactory quality in quality land, then that's part of the description. So it would be as described. No, so private sellers are, again, there is a slightly false economy around it. So just back to buying from a business, where you talk about warranties, guarantees as well, that's extra right. There's also potentially, when you're buying from a second-hand car business, there could be a member of a trade association where you would have somewhere to go.
Oh, my word, Louise. You haven't.
Complaint.
Yeah, we've got that coming up at the end.
No, but I'm just covering that off from a private seller because you won't get that protection from a private seller either. So you don't get the same right. So it's only the description. They have to have title. They can't sell you something that they don't have title, that they don't own.
What does that mean?
As a private seller, title means ownership. So if they haven't got ownership, they can't sell it to you, and they can't be, and it has to be as described. And again, it's a bit of a false economy, isn't it? Because if you buy from a private seller and something goes wrong because it's not of satisfactory quality, you can't take it back to them to get a refund or a repair. So then you could end up with quite hefty repair bills. And I'm not saying don't buy privately, but some of the information I read today is that there's a concern that people are buying privately because of the fact that people are a bit strapped. So they're thinking private is cheaper and then ending up with quite hefty repair bills because the car's not turned out to be exactly what it should be.
End up with a dog of a car.
A dog of a car?
Yeah, I used to always drive around just in just crap cars. I just didn't care at all. I had like Renault Clios, all that kind of stuff. It just didn't bother me. Peugeot 106s. And then as soon as Harry was born, 8 years ago now, I was like down the car dealership. This is situational vulnerability. Down the car dealership buying like an ultra new, ultra safe family wagon. Boring.
Yeah, but it's better than your Clio, let's be fair.
Clio did well. The Clio
did well. No, do you remember my Panda? Actually, I had a Panda in between my Fiestas. And I had that when I was at uni, and someone broke the window and stole like £1.24 out of the glove compartment. And I didn't have any money, so I drove around with a Polly Pocket sellotape to the window for like 2 years.
I do remember that. Okay, right. Have we covered off buying privately?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just be aware, like if you're going to buy privately, there are certain checks which Adam will come on to, but just really make sure that you do your checks and potentially take a mechanic with you. The difference, if you buy from a business and you take a mechanic with you and they should have identified a fault, you can't then later claim for it, but it's slightly different with private sales.
Lovely. Buying online.
Oh. Am I buying online for a business?
When it comes to buying a used car online, you do have the same legal rights as buying from a business premises. In fact, you have additional rights because you made the contract. Just let me finish speaking. You have additional rights. Is that what it is? Because you made the contract online. Look, you just want to get it done so you can go on holiday.
Well, that was a quiz. I've been quizzed. I thought it was like, I feel like it's a test. I feel like it's mastermind and my specialist subject is consumer rights.
It is. It should be. So you do have the 14-day cooling off period.
It's cancellation rights. You've got 14 days to change your mind.
And you can do that for any reason.
Yeah.
Don't like the colour.
Yeah. Don't like the way it sits. Don't like the way it parks. Can't wear my reverse sensors.
Do you even need a reason?
No. You just got a right to cancel and send it back. That's it. Just extra rights. So all of the other rights from buying from a business stand, you just get an extra 14 days cancellation.
I've got here, sorry, I've written down. It's essential to exercise caution when buying via internet auctions or online marketplaces. These platforms may not offer the same level of support as businesses. Always check the terms and conditions and avoid transferring money until you've received the goods. Can I be really quite controversial here? And I don't think it's controversial at all. Don't buy cars on Facebook Marketplace.
Did I write that down?
I don't know.
I did. to take note, beware of buying on internet auctions. I'm very clever. Like, found myself
I'm
someday.
leaving that in, by the way.
Not IT clever.
I'm going to have that as the initial bit. I'm very clever.
Not IT clever, as I found out yesterday. However, like, that sounded really clever. Yeah, like, do not transfer money into people's bank accounts before you've seen the item that you're trying to buy. Like, because there's lots of people being scammed and buying cars and other items that don't actually exist. You need to go and see what you're trying to buy.
Yes.
You need to touch it and see it.
Yeah.
And don't transfer money into people's bank accounts when you haven't seen the item.
And
or
I wouldn't say turn up to the person's address with £5,000 in your back pocket either. That doesn't sound like a wise thing to do.
Without checking the car out properly, without driving the car, because you don't know if it's their car or any of those things.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a
Please be
legitimate,
careful.
safe. You need to be very careful because, like, buying a second-hand car is one of the biggest purchases. I hate that word. It's one of the biggest things you're going to buy and one of the most expensive. And you don't want to be scammed and lose all your money. Or buy a dog of a car.
Buy a dog
as
of a
Adam
car.
said.
Oh.
I don't know what a dog of a car. I've never heard that before. A dog of a car.
I think I've made it up.
I think you have. That's what the podcast called now. Don't buy a dog of a car.
Buy a dog of a car. When it comes to paying for it, again, if it's a business, please use a credit card. If it's online, again, please use a credit card. You get those extra special protections under Section 75, blah, blah, blah. But please use a credit card.
This is if people can. Like, some people don't have credit cards. And also, again, like, we're not advocating people getting into debt. So, but if you can even just pay the deposit or like £75, £100 on your credit card and then pay the rest however you're going to pay for it, you'll still be covered under Section 75 because the cost of the whole item would be over £100 and less than £30,000. So just be wary of very expensive cars, which might be over £30,000.
And that could be the same if you've got a credit agreement through a bank.
Yeah, a third-party credit agreement, yeah. So there's all different ways you can buy cars in a lease, hire purchase, conditional sale, all those things. But there will be an avenue for you to go to your finance provider to also look for some redress.
And they tie you into huge payments on a monthly basis for a car that I can't use because the wife uses it for work. Sorry, I'm just veering off into my own personal problems.
Adam's not happy about the car. It hasn't been for many years.
I spend so much money. I drive it like once a month. That's it.
But how do you drive it so well? Take the wins. Take the wins where you can.
Anna, can I use the car, please, on like for half an hour on Friday evening? Nope.
You have to put in like a formal response, like some sort of managed shared calendar where you formally request usage.
Create a booking form. Moving on from my own personal issues and problems. When you buy a vehicle, make sure to check its MOT history. You can do that on the gov.uk website.
Yeah, also remember with an MOT, it's only as good as the day that it was done. So it's not a test of roadworthiness. It's just that this car passed its MOT, was roadworthy on the day that it was tested. Sometimes people put a lot of weight behind, well, it had an MOT. Well, on the 19th of July, this car had an MOT and therefore it passed its MOT on that day. It doesn't mean it will be roadworthy and pass its MOT on the 20th.
And if you encounter issues with an MOT, reach out to the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agencies for assistance. No one's going to do that, are they?
They might have a problem with an MOT. Also, there's, and again on the tax as well. This is something I learned the other day around the tax. You know, when you buy a second-hand car, you can't transfer the tax. So you have to. So if you're selling your car, you have to cash your tax in and buy new tax. The tax can't be transferred. And again, they will get you on the tax. You do get got on the tax. People get clamped quite a lot. They do check whether your car's taxed or not. And again, you can't get MOTs if you're not taxed, and you can't get tax if you haven't got an MOT and all that stuff. So just remember, if you're selling your car, you have to cash your tax in and then start new tax for the new vehicle.
Do your research. Listen to this podcast again.
Listen to us just chatting away.
So
living the dream.
So if you encounter any problems with your purchase, always start by speaking to the business and clearly express what you want. If direct communication doesn't get results, consider sending an email or written correspondence so you've got everything documented. Take photos if there's anything wrong with the car, that kind of thing. Create a timeline of what's happened and why. If all else fails, you might want to explore alternative dispute resolution schemes or check if the trader is a member of a trade association that offers such a scheme, and they can help you resolve the issue that you're having with that trader. Again, you probably won't have that when you buy privately. No?
No, you won't, because they're not there. So, for example, like the Motor Ombudsman Service, they will provide support and they provide advice and guidance to ensure that businesses are up to scratch. They've checked them out. They've given them advice and guidance on consumer rights, all of that stuff. And then if actually you then have a dispute, you've got another mechanism and another way to be able to pursue that particular company if you're unhappy with what they say that they're going to do for you. It's just another level of protection. Like when we talk about Trustmark from a business perspective, like we get a Trustmark trader, get an approved trader.
Perfect. I mean, I've got nothing more to add on buying used cars. I think now people are going to know exactly what their rights are when they're buying their used car.
I have to say, I am pleasantly surprised. This has gone far better than I thought it was going to go. It actually sounds like we're quite intelligent, articulate human beings today, which is not sure it'll be the case.
Your document to learn about it.
Wow, I'm impressed by myself.
You're very clever, Louise.
You know when you get you're going to leave that in now, and I know that you're going to leave that in. But I literally just was like, I don't like that. And you know when you read something that you haven't read in a while and you've written it down, and then you go back and read it, you're like, oh yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I always get surprised by myself.
Louise, you are now free to go on holiday.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for the podcast. Please have a lovely, wonderful time. Don't think about work and just drink margaritas and whatever it is. Drink. Make sure you drink the local beer.
I know, because you can't drink the spirits because it's always a bit like...
All-inclusive wine is generally quite horrible, so always drink the local beer.
Do you know what I like about holidays in foreign countries the most? Like when you go to Portugal and stuff like that, is the crinkle crisps.
Okay. I mean, I'm all about the beer and no stress.
They taste much better. The crinkle crisps taste much better abroad.
Okay.
Why is that?
I mean, okay. I'm going to have to take your word for it.
I'm excited for the crinkle crisps.
The all-inclusive thing as well is that it's just non-stop food as well. You just can't stop eating.
Non-stop cheese, Adam. Cheese.
I came back from Portugal 4 weeks ago, and there was a small window between 3 and 3:30 where lunch stopped and snacks started. And I found myself in that little half an hour window going, I'm hungry. Where's the food?
Just so people know, we've got one more podcast for this season, which we will be recording in a couple of weeks, and then you're going to have a break from us for a little while. The break will be longer than we say it's going to be, so we won't give you a time.
Yeah, we go, should we start next week? Nah, let's leave it another week. Right. Thank you very much, everyone. As ever, Consumer Friend is available online at consumerfriend.org.uk. Please go back and listen to our other podcasts. We're now nearly at the end of the second series. There's plenty more stuff out there around consumer rights, around renovating your home. Retrofitting your homes, making them more energy efficient. We've got a really good one on consumer vulnerability from the first series as well. Please go back, listen, like, subscribe, share, review, 5 stars, all that kind of stuff. Thank you very much, Louise. Go and have a lovely holiday.
Thanks, Abs.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
This is Consumer Friend.